Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of Dig Deep Coaching, stage number 10. We're into the mountains today. It's going to be a difficult day out on course for the riders. Obviously, it already has been for the riders in the Tour de France. For those of you who have been watching, a heads up. We will be having a few spoilers if you haven't watched already. I'm joined by Dig Deep Coaching's Stephen Gallagher. He's going to be chatting with me about all things Tour de France stages, as well as the workouts that riders are going to be doing. If you're unfamiliar with what's happening in front of you here, this is simulating the rides of each stage, the critical winning moments of each stage of the Tour de France. That's what's going on today. Stephen, welcome to the program. It looks like we've got a tough day ahead of us, an hour and 15 minutes for the riders. And it looks like from the stage profile here, Stephen, there is a really good reason for that. Do you want to talk a little bit about what we're looking at today?
Yeah, today's a hard day. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their rest day yesterday, because I think you're going to need it for completing our stage today. So obviously it's the first mountain stage today in the Tour de France. So we're obviously going to replicate some of the demands that the riders have seen, particularly the types of intensities that a lot of the riders would have encountered today. So we're doing a lot more threshold work. There's not as much high intensity, short efforts. A lot more sort of prolonged threshold work. Some changes in cadence depend on the gradients of the climbs, but it's a long day. So it's the first day in the Alps. It was a long day for the riders, so it's going to be a big day for us as well. So today we're going to start off. We're going to replicate 3 of the climbs today. So we're replicating the Col de Croix Farai, which is the first Category 1 climb. Then we'll be doing the Col de Rami and the Col de Colombier. So what we've done is, a couple of weeks ago, whenever we were building these workouts, is I took the Strava times from these 3 particular climbs and divided the total time, the fastest time, by 70%. Obviously, it's difficult to try and do 100% of the duration of each climb today, otherwise we would be sitting here for hours. So on the first climb, the Col de Croix Farai, we are doing it, the fastest time was actually Romain Bardet, according to Strava. Maybe not after today, but before the start of today's stage, he done it in, I think it was 30 minutes, 44 seconds. So we're dividing that by 70%, so that's our duration of the climb today. And then the last 2 climbs, which we're mimicking, the Col de Rami and the Col de Colombier, it's actually prior to today's start. According to Strava, the fastest person over them 2 climbs combined was a young kid called Tom Pidcock, who is probably very well known to anybody who does cyclocross, and certainly in the British scene is probably the most promising young rider in the British scene. So it was a bit of a surprise to me that it must have been in a training camp last year or something. He's the Strava over the 2 of them, and it was 43 minutes 18 or something. So yeah, that was
interesting
pretty
to
fast.
see if the tour was able to pip that from him or not.
Do you know what? Let's. I'll have a look. I'll have a look during the broadcast.
If it was a training ride and he was taking it somewhat seriously, he might have been able to hold on to it. I think a lot of times the riders they'll look at each other while racing, but when you're in training, it's full on. There's no. It's not like there's not full on. It's not like it's not full on when you're racing. When it's full, when you're racing and you're trying to attack, obviously it's full on, but if his goal was to get over the top of both of those as quickly as he possibly could, your goal in racing is not always to get to the finish line as quickly as you possibly could. It's to be the first to cross the finish line. That's usually the goal, right? Yeah. So, like we see in the sprint stages, you see something similar there where you're like, why aren't they just going as hard as they can all the time? Well, they don't want to waste their legs, and they let the brake go, and they can rest up a little bit and then catch them later. So you don't always get the fastest Strava times over certain sections there as well. So this is the course we're looking at today, HC couple of three cat ones. I mean, it looked like a lot of suffering out there today. That's for sure. It was really exciting stage. That's for sure. So let's talk about. So you talked about what the riders are doing on the day, how you got the data specifically from these climbs off of Strava, and then replicated them into the actual workout here. So let's take a look at the left-hand side. Then we've got the warm-up. It looks like it increased my FTP recently. I have no idea why. I think I was out racing on Zwift and suddenly all my numbers are different. That's the cool thing about Zwift. It will up all of your FTP. You'll up your FTP for you if you do too good of a job, as it thinks you might be sandbagging. So normal warm-up. Let's chat a little bit about that. I'd like to make sure everybody understands completely what the workout is about that they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, so warm up. We're just coming to the end of the high cadence activations. So again, they're just about getting the aerobic system working a wee bit by doing a couple of high speed or high cadence up to 120 RPM. We're not really looking at the high force. We're not looking at overall power, but it's about high cadence. Getting the muscles moving. Getting the heart rate up a wee bit, stressing the aerobic system slightly, just to open the body up a wee bit. So that's really the goal of them. They're quite short, 30 seconds long. Then we're resting down for a minute and a half in between, then doing another one. So it's pretty much our standard warm up, which we've been doing, and hopefully, and it'll be actually good to get a bit of feedback of what people actually think about how they're feeling after these sort of activations as well. So we don't want to warm up too long as well. I mean, I see people who warm up for, half an hour before races or time trials, whatever it may be. And, sometimes they spend more energy warming up than they do at the start of the race. But we're trying to get a balance here as well between, time that's being spent and obviously having the body ready and primed to get going.
I want to make sure before we jump into talking about the first climb that's coming here to let people know that they can interact with us on the broadcast. The way you can do that obviously is going to be by acting like Kev Steven here, who actually agrees with us, that says, yep, first across the line with minimum effort, and especially in a Tour de France that's lasting 21 stages. I think riders are probably going to be, especially in today, it wasn't like the big hitters were going all in right from the get-go or anything. So first across the line, minimum effort, and so we'll see if that Strava was nipped today. It would be interesting to see if the young cyclocrosser...
Just clicking on now to see.
Clicking on right now to see if he was actually able to take if they were able to hold on to it or not. I also wonder if the rest of the peloton has loaded all of their data yet. I mean, there might be a few that might not have loaded it up to Strava yet, but we'll see if he was able to hold on to the... What was the young kid's name?
I think it was Tom Pidcock.
Pidcock.
So he had. So I believe it might be on the two climbs of 43.18, which is quite unbelievable actually. So let me just look again, because we do have some data from Training Peaks, which we're going to go into in a minute. I don't want to give it a spoiler, but we've actually got some real hard data from guys that were leading in the front in the early break, and also guys that were there at the end with the leading GC riders. So, but I'm trying to look at Strava.
That'll be really cool to see. We do have some great data here to show you guys from the tour today. So thanks to Training Peaks Dig Deep Coaching, we were able to bring in to the broadcast here some analyzation of what it actually took to be involved. Did you say we had some top 10 efforts, or is it top 20 efforts maybe to show from today?
So so we have Mikel Nieve, who was one of the last teammate actually to be with is it Adam Yates? I keep getting them mixed up. Adam Yates, that's the team leader for Mitchell and Scott. So we've got his data again, which is just been kind of uploaded there in the last 30 minutes before we sort of went live, and also Tom Jelte Schlatter from Dimension Data, who was in the early break, was one of the instigators of the early break that went away with eventual winner Alpha Philippe. And so he was pretty much up there all day until the last climb. So we've actually two opposites of data. One guy that was, going all out at the start and getting in the early break, and then another guy that was there and was right at the front with the leading group with Chris Froome and and Bardet and the rest of the gang there on the last climb. So
yeah, let's do those in order
we'll
down,
yeah.
maybe not just in. Let's look at the early break stuff. What happened? Because that's what the riders are going through right now. So I want to say hello over to the people over at Mixer, though. I am seeing Prita Jewel Gaming with Callum. What's going on, guys? Good to see you over at the Mixer channel. We are watching that chat on the Mixer channel. We want to encourage anybody who wants to watch these broadcasts from Zwift Community Live. These broadcasts are race broadcasts. Anything that Zwift Community Live is doing, make sure to head on over to our streaming channel over on Mixer and hit that follow button to know every time that we go live. Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere else that we are pushing out to besides a streaming platform like Mixer isn't going to warn you that we're live all the time without somebody sharing it with you many times. So make sure to head on over there, hit the follow button, and you will get an update in your email every single time that we do go live. You can also download their app on your phone, and it'll warn you as well when we go live if you do turn on notifications over there. So just as a heads up for those not familiar with the world of streaming. So let's chat about the early breaks. So because it looks like we're getting into this looks like just the start of the stage at this point. We're about, it looks like 15 minutes or so in. This 10 minute at 285, what's this all about? What are we simulating at this point as we are trying to simulate stage 10 of the Tour de France?
Yep. So, our total persona today is being a climber. So that means we're going for a stage win. So we want to try and simulate the effort which was needed to get into the early break. Anybody who watched the broadcast today of the Tour de France will know that the start of the stage was the hardest. Certainly, whenever we go into the data here, we're about to show you soon, and you'll see that the start of the stage was the hardest. So today, this is on the. We're going to obviously, simulate that on the Col de Coiffoy that the break went about halfway up it. So this is us. We're starting in the bottom of the climb now. So 10 minutes. Steady riding just in tempo, and then you'll see a 1 minute real high effort where we go up to 120% of your AFTP for it's a real hard attack, and that's for us to get obviously the move away. And then you'll see we'll have another 4 minutes at about 105% of our AFTP, so we're right at the top end of our threshold to pull that gap out. And then we have another 5 minutes at about 95% of our AFTP. So,
this
get ready after this 10
Steven.
minutes.
This is like you are getting into the bread and butter of winning Tour de France moves. It looks like you're at least stage winning moves on the mountains. I mean, let's take a look at. Okay, so we just chatted about what we're doing for the start of the first climb. Let's talk about what climb we're on. Let's take a quick little look at the actual profile. So it looks like we're starting. Now we're not doing the Cat 4. We're doing the Cat 1 right off the bat, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so, Col de la Coiffoy, is that how we said it?
Col de la Coiffoy.
Col de la Coiffoy. Okay.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Took a stab at that one. Took a stab at that one. Yeah. We got it. And how's it going there, Drew Nelson, Carissa, as well as Dafford Williams? Good to see you guys over at the broadcast. Appreciate you guys hanging out over there at Mixer. If you guys do have any questions or comments, please bring us away. So, we're into that Cat 1, steady 10 minutes, and then what is the 1 minute solid? Again, I mean, we're looking at, like, you said 115%, or no, maybe even 120%?
Yeah, 120, yeah. Real big effort, so that's it on attack. So real full gas attack on the middle of the climb. That's the point where, the decisive break is going to go for the stage. So, you got to really dig in there on that climb to get away. So, that's the middle of the climb, so we're really got to try and get that gap out. And after to make sure that we extend the lead, we're not going to be too much either. So after that you have another 4 minutes, 104%, 105% top threshold, then we drop down to about percent, then we'll down into the descent before we start the next climb.
We got you breaking up just
Thankfully,
a tad. I'm
gonna
lower your data just a tad, just so you know. So you're gonna have it come through just a little less clear on your end. But Dan Fleeman's coming through, seeing after we were chatting a little bit about those Strava segments, not about this climb specifically, but about the last two climbs. You were saying that Pidcock was having a amazing climb up over the top. Those on Strava, we were trying to see whether or not he was nipped on those Strava segments today by the Tour de France. And Fleeman's saying, give it a few years and Pidcock will be riding the stages for real. Well, that's assuming that he doesn't want to stay in the dirt. You know, you always think we always want to get off the dirt. I mean, I know that you guys got all the whatever. We're not going to get into the business end of things on the bike, but but maybe he will be. It is the highest, most respected level of cycling, that is for sure, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is. Now, a Focus Cyclocross, I don't know a lot about this rider, actually. It sounds like, is he if he's young, is he a junior, a U23? I mean, in a training camp? Then is that what you're talking about, or is he over, or is he actually riding senior at this point?
Yeah, he's riding senior, so
okay.
I think he's maybe first year under 23, I believe. So, which is phenomenal talent. But I'm actually his Strava times. I'm seeing the Strava time for, and these were developed a couple of weeks ago. So I see here the combined Strava for the two climbs, Colombier, coming up, and then going up to Colombier, the Tour de France went today. The fastest time is actually 58 minutes. That's which was Stephen Kruijswijk done it in 58 minutes. I'm not sure if that was set today or not, but that's where that is the leaderboard at the minute for them to climb. So he actually done it, today actually. So Stefan Kruijswijk set the fastest time today, in according to Strava, in 58 minutes for them combined climb. So I'm not sure where I'm getting this 43:18 for the combined climb. So maybe it was flagged.
Gotcha.
Could have been.
Yeah. Training camp, jumped into the team car. No, I'm just kidding. So was junior world champ last year. That makes sense, Dan. That makes sense to me then. Okay. Gotcha. And that does make a lot of sense. He's letting us know that he was junior world champ last year, U23 now. Makes a lot of sense. Appreciate the comments there. So, all right. Well, early break. Let's talk about what happened in the tour with the early break. We do have some great data to go over here, actually. And it looks like early on, these are the attacks that we're about to see. We've got a 1 minute at 4:05. If it were myself, 120% of FTP. We've got, I don't think that's actually, I think something went on there where something got updated because of some sort of auto bot that I'm using here. And there's no way at 4:05, even when I was in really good shape, was going to be 120% of my FTP. So, but 1 minute at 4:05 that we're looking at here in just a moment, or 120% of FTP. And that is similar, I think, to what we are seeing here in this data. From this early section, these first attacks coming from Tom here, it looks like some serious efforts here.
Yeah. Some, this is Tom Jelte-Schlatter from Dimension Data, who was which pretty much was in the lead break all day and was one of the instigators to get into the and to make it stick. I think he was there nearly all the day. I haven't seen the final result. I do know he was probably caught on the last climb by what would have been the GC guys. But we can see that all of his peak powers below 12 minutes. So anywhere between sort of 30 seconds and 12 minutes was all done before and on the first climb of the day. So if we look at his peak 1 minute power, which we're about to do a big 1 minute effort. He done 539 watts at 9.2 watts per kilo for 1 minute. So that was a real big effort.
Wait, say that one more time?
He done 9.2 watts per kilo for a minute in the middle.
Off the bat. First kick.
Right off the bat. And this was in the middle of a five. Straight after that, he had it was a very short descent. Then he done another 5 minutes at 7.1 watts per kilo at 415 watts. So what we're doing today, luckily, is pretty similar. We're doing a big 1 minute effort, full gas, and then we have another 4 minutes at 105% of her FTP, then another 5 minutes down at 95%. So again, really similar to what he had to do today. So yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at that right now. So 4 minutes, 3:55 for me. That would be probably around getting close to 6 watts per kilogram. So about one full watt per kilogram less than him. But
3 watts less than him. He was 9 for 1 minute. So
absolutely insane here. Oh, yeah. I mean for the 4 minute there though, that 1 minute, that's I don't even know. I think that's only 7 for me, maybe right around there. So yeah, the full. I mean, it's a whole nother level, that's for sure. Nathan, you've finally been found out. What's going on here? Kev Stevens saying that I'm a big Autobot over here. So thanks a lot, Kevin. I appreciate the comments there. If you do have any other questions or comments in that, not just making fun of Nathan, you can bring them into the broadcast. Please do. We've got all kinds of data here. If you have anything related to the workout today, anything related to the Tour de France, anything related to what happened during the tour today. I'm pretty sure, Steven, you caught the full stage and we're watching what was going down out there today. So we'd love to relate that to what's happening with these guys. So it looks like 10 minutes is what we're doing for a simulation. That's about 70% then of the climb? The 10 minutes total is what that, so that's why we're doing a total 10-minute interval here. I mean, it's essentially what it is a up front, 1 minute. What do you got? 4 minutes, almost a little bit over, and then a little bit under over the top for 10 minutes on an interval.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. And it's again, replicating anybody who's maybe competed themselves on climbs like this will probably know that it's quite similar to that sort of intensity. Whenever you've got you've got to really dig in early in a climb to make that sort of gap and get stuck in. So this total climb today is this first one is 10, 15, 19. So it's 20 minutes of a climb we're doing today, and the fastest up it is Romain Bardet in 30 minutes 44. So Romain Bardet already. Yeah, this first one, yeah. So the one we're including that 10-minute start in, then that 1 minute attack in the middle of the climb, 4 minutes above right at the top end of your threshold, then another 5 minutes just in the lower part of your threshold. So we have a good 20-minute effort off the bat here. So
when was that completed? Roman's effort up and over the top of this first climb.
I'll tell you when. Let me see. So he
obviously it wasn't today. Since you grabbed this from another time, so there must have been another time that they went over the top in the tour, or is he out there training maybe on these climbs, perhaps?
I'm gonna look at the leaderboard here now. So okay. So full leaderboard.
Holly's letting us know that his heart rate is maxing out again, up and over the top, as they're over the top. They should get a little reprieve now from that over threshold. Not reprieve necessarily, but definitely bringing it back underneath threshold, back to 325. I think it set my threshold at like a 335 or something recently. So, but I believe we're going at 95% of FTP for another 5 minutes now. They won't. Their heart rates will probably stay right around threshold, or if they are over threshold at this point, they'll probably settle down over time now and get not necessarily comfortable, but it'll be manageable for this last 5 minutes of the effort.
And that's actually that's a good point in how your heart reacts towards doing a real hard effort, 1 minute, very anaerobic effort basically, and then how your heart reacts after whenever you're not recovering. Basically, we're doing another 9 minutes in around your threshold after. So the fitter they are, and the more that you sort of train at being able to recover from such efforts, will really help your heart rate come down. Whenever we're working with a lot of our clients and looking at these sort of specifics of performances, it's not just getting the power out and being able to produce high watts. It's actually seeing that we're able to recover and being able to get that heart rate down, so we're able to sustain an effort quite long after. So again, that'll really depend on people's fitness on how their heart reacts and how they're able to recover after a real sort of anaerobic effort. So, yeah, so it's going to be very different from person to person. So, and if you see that your heart rate isn't coming down and then it stays quite high, there's something that tangible that you need to work on as well in the future. So maybe something to think about as your training goes forward. So
we are getting a question, how do you steer in this game, coming over from Aftermath? So the steering is handled in-game on Zwift. The main way that you do control the game is mainly by power that you put out in conjunction with the other riders. These riders are all actual real riders that are joined into a group workout mode. They're all doing the same workout that you do see on the left-hand side of the course. There is free riding, there is racing, there is group ride events that you can join. We're specifically highlighting the group workout mode and the awesomeness of the features that can be used. In the background, the work that's been done to get this done has been done by Deep Coaching, and these riders are able to simulate workouts that are the winning moves in the Tour de France. So this is a 21 stage group workout essentially that's happening every day of the Tour de France, where you get to ride that day's critical moves in the Tour de France. Right now we're finishing up a couple of the first climb on the day actually from the Tour. So that first category one that you do see here all the way on the left hand side, we are finishing up as about 70% of what the riders did today, rather than 100% of it. If they were to do, that's the funny thing on the day-to-day, when we did the cobbles at the Paris-Roubaix, we were able to do at least 100% of each cobbled section, but only like 9 of the sections or whatever. The climbs are so long in the Tour today that we had to cut it down to like only, what is it, 4 of them? Are we doing 4 of them or 3 of them? How many?
We're doing 3 climbs today.
We're doing only 3 of the major climbs and 70% of them. So we really had to cut it down a little bit. But you are still getting a simulation of what happened in the Tour today.
Yeah, and just on the duration of that climb, and just looking here on Strava, and Bardet is still the fastest, which was set on the 13th of June 2015, with a lot of other guys. I think that like the top 6 of the Strava time.
What was the date in that? Was 2000 what?
It was 2000 2015. So it was probably in the Dauphiné Libéré, the lead-up race. I'm assuming that would be the time frame. So obviously in the Dauphiné in 2015, they went over this climb. And today, the fastest time today, according to Strava, was Ren Terme, who was in the lead, actually, who led most of the way up the climb, and he'd done it in 33 minutes, 4 seconds. And the fastest time on it, Romain Bardet, is 30 minutes, 44 seconds. So they went up at about 3 minutes slower than what
slower than the Dauphiné. Yeah. Well, because you don't have the GC contenders pushing the pace up front, so it'll be a little bit slower than the pure climbers, I would think, is what you're going to get there.
I did hear from Dan Martin was interviewed after the stage today, and he did say that the reason why there maybe wasn't a lot of aggression from the main GC guys, not just because of 3 hard days in a row, which would obviously not want them to use too much energy today, but really there was a big headwind on a lot of the sections today, so potentially that was the similar scenario for this first climb. But thankfully for everybody riding today, we're taking 70% from the fastest time, so that means your effort's a bit shorter than what it would have been if we were to take today's time. So
maybe sometime in the future we'll just do one climb, like one replicated specifically climb. That would be pretty cool. Like here it is, exactly what these riders did. So all right, so we got the first one out of the way here. Then we got, it looks like a second, you sent me a couple of different ones from Tom here. The second climb that's coming up here, it looks like from Tom's data, Tom Jelte Slager. I want to say that correctly. I'm probably not saying it. I'm probably totally incorrectly. 437 total on the day for him, 157 kilometers, 318 TSS is what we're looking at. The second climb that's coming up here, now, are we replicating this one at all, or are we just leaving this one out?
No. Thankfully for everybody here, you'll be relieved to know that we're not replicating this. This was the HC climb of the day, so basically without category. It's such a difficult climb. It's not even categorized. So it's the very top level of climb. I think this is the first time a climb like this was ever used actually in the Tour de France. So
The first time this year. First time this year.
First time ever potentially. So
are you kidding me?
Yeah. So we're just
well. There's lots of HCs, but
so.
like, what makes this one different, right? Like, there's beyond category climbs in the tour all the time, but what makes this specific climb so different?
Well, I think it's how steep it was. So it was just really steep. And really steep. And he had a peak 30-minute
minute
power.
I see what you're saying. Look at this, Stephen. 11.2% average. Like,
really, it was very, very steep.
Oh my goodness, 1,390 meters. This is insanity.
Yeah, they had
that's a rough day.
Yeah, really, really difficult. Yeah, that's a really really rough day. So
11.2
no wonder
at 1,390, and they were off road. I saw during part of this.
It was a bit at the top. Yeah, bit at the top. Yeah, they had 2 kilometers of gravel over the top. So so it was a real hard day. So yeah. Anyway, it was a real difficult climb. Again, anybody that was watching it on the television would probably know they were really going at a slow cadence, a lot of them. So it was a real grind on that. And that would have been really difficult after doing such a long climb before it, and how aggressive the start was as well. I think that would have just put an end to a lot of people. I do know the breakaway split. Actually, there was quite a lot of riders in the breakaway at that point, and then the breakaway did split.
Yeah, we're looking at a 3:31 peak for 30 minutes over the time. I mean, is that how long it took him? Is 30 minutes to climb this bad boy at 3:31? It looks like.
Yeah, I think it was about so it was just about 30 minutes, maybe just under 30 minutes for the actual climb. In the sense of over the top, it was a bit of gravel, but yeah, he had he was just at 5.6 watts per kilo for that 30 minutes, which consumed most of nearly all and a little bit more of the actual climb. So that was a hard day. So thankfully we're not doing that.
No, we're skipping that one and then heading right on into the category 1 toward the end there. That the Col de Rome, is that correct there?
Yep, Col de Rome. So that's going to be the next climb in our simulation. So that's the next climb of what we're looking at. So we've just gone over the Col de Croix, and with a couple of minutes taking it easy before we get on the Col de Rome. And on that, there's going to be, thankfully for everybody here, it's going to be a little more sedate. It's going to be a bit more steadier as we go into the climb. So we're really just sort of 7 minutes at 95%. We're dropping our cadence down quite a bit because the bottom of this climb is quite steep, the bottom sections of it. So we're dropping down to 75 RPM. So okay, we're not going full gas, but we are using a lot more muscular strength. Then we're going to 2 minutes at 80%. In the middle of this climb, it sort of eases off a little bit. So we're easing off. The RPM is coming up. The power is coming down. So a little bit of a back off in the middle of the climb. And then we have another 3 minutes.
You see Ken's comments there, Stephen? They're not liking the 75 RPM. As soon as they saw that, there was definitely some comments coming through about 75 RPM. But it is a steep one up front, it sounds like. Very steep.
Yeah.
You can see it in the climb there, actually, on the profile. Right. Let's go ahead and bring it big screen here. Right at the bottom of the Col de Rome, you see this really sharp little peak that then drops off right where that says the Cluses. Is that correct? 483 meters?
Yeah.
It's like a climb within the climb. It looks like what they're up to.
It was really steep at the bottom. So so that's what we're trying to look at. So actually the first 2.5 kilometers of that climb is 10.5%, according to the data that we see here. So it's a pretty steep climb, and then I'm looking here at some of the riders' data, and they are down to around 80 RPM, 75, 80 RPM at the bottom of it. So it's a pretty steep climb at the bottom. So.
Gotcha. Looking through for some more of the comments here. Good to see. Dan's letting us know about the Dauphine. Yep, gotcha. Kev Steven also came through with some comments. If you want to interact like Kev and Dan did, if you are just tuning in over on our Facebook, you can do so simply by commenting on the Facebook. We'll bring your comments in, questions about what's happening. If you're just tuning in, you're wondering what's going on here, we're on the massive multiplayer online game, obviously, which is Zwift. Here on Zwift Community Live, riders are replicating the winning moves of the Tour de France throughout all 21 stages. Still time to join. You want more details, you can sign up for the newsletter. You can get all the workouts. You essentially have a 21 stage free workout plan for simulating a grand tour from Dig Deep Coaching. Head on over to digdeepcoaching.com and you'll be able to sign up for that newsletter and get a backlog of the workouts that we have done, and then jump into the workouts that we are doing over the rest of the Tour de France. All these riders are in workout mode, though, as you can see here. So, Kev, Stephen, we thanks for your comments and being our great example of how to interact with the broadcast on Facebook. You can do so also on Twitter. If you are watching on one of our social media, if you're watching on one of our streaming platforms and you can't get your chat brought in, a lot of you guys I know on those streaming platforms do use Twitter a lot. Go ahead and at Z Community Live. It's at Z Community Live, and we'll also see those in our social media integration app. And be able to bring your questions or comments right on in. Kev saying that he watched the race today, and the guys made it look easy. I bet everyone is sweating buckets tonight, though. Tonight on the on the broadcast here. I think a lot of them most likely are. Well, turn the fans and the AC on. That's the way to get it done out on Zwift, that's for sure. 7 minutes. They're about halfway through the first half of this climb. You said they're going to have 2 minutes at 270. So, Cat 1, another 10 minutes over the top.
Cat 1. Yeah. So they're in the middle of here of their their steeper gradient. Where we're down around 95%, and then with 2 minutes easing off down to 80% of your FTP. So I think that'll be a bit of a welcome reprieve. Especially after that, quite muscular effort at the bottom. We're bringing our cadence up to about 95, so just, spin that out a wee bit. And then we're going into, it's getting quite hard over the top, so, we're going to accelerate a wee bit over the top, but nothing, totally chaotic. So we're going to do 3 minutes at about 105%. Our cadence is up to 90. You'll be glad to hear, Ken. And, we're able to just sort of spin it out over the top. But again, we're going to be riding quite hard. Then we have a very short descent. Again, similar to the actual race today. If you look at the profile, descent between those two climbs was certainly not long at all, which probably caused certainly a lot of fatigue and a lot of people difficulties on the last climb. And then whenever we do get into this last climb, the pace does ramp up during it. So we're going to simulate again, trying to attack over the top and trying to keep with the moves over the top before we go for a group sprint between, let's say, 2 or 3 riders at the end. So
I'm seeing here David Williams saying that there was a mountain bike rider jump the peloton today. We need to be able to do that in Zwift. Did that actually take place during the tour? I must have missed that one during the stage.
Yeah.
I took a little nap. I took a little nap in between some things on the stage today, so it was such a long stage, and so I must have missed it during my little nap there. So, David Williams, what happened there, Stephen? There was actually a MTB rider that jumped in the middle of it all. Like, was it on the gravel section or something, or?
No. I think it was actually on that horse category climb, the real steep uncategorized climb at the bottom of it, I believe. And they were just going along the road, and there was 2 cliffside either side, steep banks on either side, and this guy just decided to jump on over the lead group, basically.
Wait,
so
jump
on his,
over? Like, I know they've jumped
over them.
Yeah. I've seen that before. So he literally jumped over the entire peloton.
Well, it was with the leading break. I think it was the leading riders, and he decided to jump over them. So
good. I love it. As long as nobody got hurt. I mean, at the same time, but I mean, you're definitely getting your shot on the screen. I mean, I wonder if they recorded that and put it in the slow mo on the screen. I guess they don't want to encourage it.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of there was a lot of media around it after it. And it is mountain bike country where they're racing today, just starting in Lake Annecy and heading deep into the Alps. Like I know a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine have mountain biked up in there, and I'm sure there's hundreds of trails that it didn't take much for them to.
For those who aren't familiar with Dig Deep Coaching, why are you familiar with those areas? What's your history with cycling a little bit? I think some people who might be tuning in unfamiliar with this. We've gotten a few new viewers here. It looks like today. So, why would you be spending some time over there throughout your career?
Well, I spent a lot of adult years living in Europe, so I was lucky enough to race professionally in Europe, amongst other places, for about 8 or 9 seasons. And again, I was very fortunate to be able to race with some of the top guys and race some of the top races in the world. And so it helped me gain a bit of knowledge and experience and probably the demands of what's going on. And on with that there, obviously, I've been able to take that into our coaching team along with my colleague Dan Fleeman, who's the one giving us a lot of abuse online as well. So, we run a coaching company that we have, up to 16 coaches based all around the world. And we're able to, give that experience and give that information and obviously our experience, but also our knowledge on techniques and, coming from the pro peloton and different tips and advice that most people mightn't be able to get. So that's one of the reasons why I probably know a lot of the roads and some of the climbs and even some of the riders that are participating. So, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So, I mean, it seems like you're pretty familiar. Every time we start chatting about the riders, especially in our predictions and in our, as we go over these rides, you have a lot of inside information. It seems gotten pretty familiar with a ton of the teams and the riders over your career racing in Europe. So pretty cool to have that knowledge here in the broadcast here. So looking through about 270 here, where are we at here in this climb now?
We're just on that easy section, so we're just in the middle of it. We're just gone over the steep part, so we are about
just over Cluses.
Maybe 2/3 of the way.
Just over that, a little ways over there.
We're maybe 2/3 of the way up that steep climb on the Col de Romont. So we're maybe we've only then after this here we've another 3 minutes of ramping up. So we're over halfway on the Col de Romont, where it just sort of starts to ease off.
And now a little bit of a kick, though, it looks like, for 3 minutes up and over the top. Now, why would you want to attack up over the top here on this climb? What's the tactic here?
Well, if we've seen, again, anybody who's seen the stage today actually will have seen that on the top of that climb is where Ren Terme was actually away. So he actually attacked about halfway or in the bottom half of the Col de Romont. And then over the top was where Alpha Philippe actually then accelerated to get across them. So again, exactly the same as what we're going to do today. We're going to accelerate to get away over the, sort of over the top of this climb, and to get a gap on your colleagues that are obviously in the escape as well. And then you've a short descent, and then it's pretty solo over that last big climb of the Col de Colombier. So.
These guys look like they're suffering out here today. This looks like it's a hard day. This is a tough one today. It looks like, if you do want to get into these workouts, make sure to jump on. The best way to do so is to, I don't have my phone actually here, but jump onto your companion app and join up on the Zwift companion app. You can just go ahead and look for every single day of the Dig Deep coaching. Bam, 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 bam. Hit that enter, and it'll give you a reminder. Set it for 60 minutes before, so it gives you a reminder. You go, oh, yeah, I can go do this. And Nathan and Stephen can coach us through live through each day of the Tour de France here. Now, this is a great, Kev Stephen, I take it these workouts have elastic band effects, so you don't intimidate people that want to join. Well, the group stays together no matter what. As long as you're pedaling at a certain effort, as long as you're pedaling in the group, you're going to stay with it. Even if you're failing the intervals, you're not getting full stars on the intervals, and you're not getting the full power. You stay with it because it's group workout mode, so it keeps everybody together on purpose. But then the workout is set to your FTP. So as long as you don't have to do 355 watts. This might be kind of intimidating for some of the people watching here, seeing 355, 300, 320, 355. This is actually a little bit over what my FTP would have been, I think, even when I was full on in Racing Pro shape. But 350, this is based on the FTP I have in game right now. If your FTP is 200, it would change in workout mode to go on. Right now, you'd be doing probably like 210, at 105 or 110% of your 105% of your FTP, right? So all of the workouts based on your fitness level, and don't let the numbers on screen intimidate you at all, as they're actually buffed from me hanging out in these broadcasts, I think, with an Autobot or something. So as it upped my FTP too much, I think, from the last time that we were out here. So looking through for some more questions or comments that are coming through. Daffodil Williams saying, I'm guessing that was Chris Gregorowitz, a semi... not famous, well, old schooler from the world of Zwift, who is a known mountain biker that does Zwift, actually, one of the only ones. No, just kidding. So, looking through here, why don't we chat about we have this, we went over what Tom's stuff was from the early break, right?
Yeah.
Now we're getting into some data about the later sections when the big hitters came out and started really kicking it up, and I think the Nieve numbers might actually have a little bit of influence on this next section of the workout.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mikel Nieve is one of the key domestics and climbers for Adam Yates, and so he was really the last rider to be with Adam Yates, and was right in the front group. Anybody who's seen the broadcast as well will see whenever the GC bunch was reduced down to 20, 25 riders, that he was still in there, sitting on the coattails of Team Sky as they rode hard. So if we look at his data, we can see that his peak 20-minute effort for the day was just over 6 watts per kilo, was on the last climb. So on the last climb was a real hard... Colombier. Yeah, so the Col de
So you can see it. Like, if we compare this, look, between the two, we can compare, and it's exact there. You can see here's the stage, and then here is each of those climbs as they sit. And you can see, look at the purple line is his watts. And you can see that. Look at the purple line and how it is at the very top. The highest line of its in the graph there that's continual is at the end there on this climb. Now, why would that be on the day? What is his role? Why is that? Why are we seeing that on this section? What is he up to there that he is putting out his peak 20-minute 355 watts for the day?
Well, again, on today's stage, his job was obviously to really just shadow Yates, to make sure that he was with the main contenders, the overall GC riders, which were chasing Alpha Philippe. Them guys probably weren't that concerned with Alpha Philippe, him going for the stage. His focus was on looking at the other GC contenders like Froome and Bardet and the rest. So he needed to be there with him to make sure that he could cover any moves and to assist if anything happened. Subsequently, as the race went along, and again, listening to some of the interviews after the stage, like Bernal, he was one of Team Sky's main men. He said that Froome and Froome and them felt really good, and they put the pace up on that last climb to test the other guys. And if you do see, especially at the top of that climb, it was very exposed on the left hand side, and basically the group was lined out, so they had 20 or 30 riders lined out, so it was a very hard sustained ride from Team Sky at the front of that group. That's why Mikel Nieve had his peak 20-minute power on that last climb, because they were just riding so hard. So I think thankfully he was able to stay with them. So
where did he end up placing on the day? I mean, looking at this effort, where did he end up placing on the day for that effort that we're seeing here?
So he actually ended up being placed. He finished with Bob Jungels, Pottevivo, Bokamolama, Zakarin, guys that were potential guys for the top 10. He finished in a group with them 4 minutes down on the winner, but he was only about less than he was about 45 seconds down behind Chris Froome, Dan Martin, whatever. So he just
So
lost a
this
bit of
is
time.
an effort
coming
that's
into the finish.
only a few seconds behind Dan Martin,
Yeah.
Chris Froome,
Yeah.
and excuse me, this is the wrong. Well, it's still Mikel Nieve. This is the initial kick over the top, but the 20-minute one though, right here, this one.
Yeah.
That's the effort that gets you into that top 10 type situation in the Tour de France. Close to.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
from
that's-
the day. That's from. This is actually from. That was actually from the stage today. So
That was from the
they're,
stage
they're just
today.
starting that climb right now, actually, in
Yeah.
the workout.
There we go. We're kicking off into the last climb of the day. Everybody will be glad to know. So, I don't think we'll all need to do 6 watts per kilo for 20 minutes, but you can understand that on this climb and like what everybody's going to be doing today, this is going to be one of your hardest sustained efforts. Again, similar to actually what happened during the stage. So, but yeah, it's pretty impressive. 6 watts per kilo for already having done 4 hours of racing. So he done that in around the 4 hour mark. To be able to ride at 6 watts per kilo, and it was a real, if you look at his power, it was a very sustained effort. There was no spikes in that. It was very controlled. So he
That word right
he
there
won
for the
everything.
stage, controlled. Every time I looked at the screen from the first, I don't know, like the first 2-3 hours, I just saw Sky on the front, just controlling the race. What can you talk a little bit to that? Like why they were up to that? Because they're not defending the yellow jersey right now, but there is the reality that they're behind, I think, in their initial goals because of the crashes early on in the early stages.
Okay. So, quite interesting what you said there about they're not in the yellow jersey. The main reason that they would have had to have ridden today is because the yellow jersey went on the attack. Again, it was a very exciting stage. Greg Van Avermaet, who even though he's in the yellow jersey, isn't seen as a person that's going to threat the general classification. In
That team's
2
got
weeks'
nothing
time.
to lose right now. They got
They've got
nothing
nothing
to lose right now, right? I mean, they
Yeah,
lost Richie.
yeah.
Poor Richie. I feel so bad for Richie. So much work. 2 years in a row. I mean, it's kind of heartbreaking to watch a little bit because I saw TJ's interview. And I saw the way he reacted to the question. So, what is your role and what's the plan? And it was almost kind of like, we'll just see what happens because we don't know now. Like, we'll see what comes to us or whatever. So it's kind of sad. So I think with nothing to lose, throw him out there. See how much time he can get. Right? Like, see how much, because he's not going to hang with them at the start. Right? Like, I mean, he's not going to hang with them at the start of the climb if they're all together. But if you send them out there, right, and see if they can, if he can hold on, maybe, or the break really is able to stick, get more and more time. But not going to go with the likes of a Froome on a climb when it comes down to it. So, is it you think that's what's up there, or what's the deal?
Well, I think what they're obviously looking to do is, as you said, they've got nothing to lose basically. TJ Van Garden unfortunately isn't going great. He lost 10 minutes today. He wasn't looking too sharp on the climbs today, unfortunately. So I think their GC ambitions are kind of out the window. But if you've got somebody like Greg Van Avermaet, who just is generally extremely strong, he's not a climber or a pure climber in the sense of what some of the other guys are, but man, he can go uphill fast. And today he really was on the front foot. So not only is he still in the yellow jersey, he actually took another minute and a half or 2 minutes out of second place, which is currently Geraint Thomas. But again, there's no big panic because whenever the proverbial hits the fan and the actual GC guys decide to start playing their cards, he's going to lose a lot of time, and that's why they're probably they don't keep him on a short leash. But yeah, they sent him up the road today. He was going for the stage basically. I think he ended up fourth, so he had an incredible ride. But because of that, and because then the defuncto let's say team leaders or the main GC guys were then Team Sky because he was up the road. So it was on the shoulders of Team Sky to really do the riding. And even if Greg Van Avermaet was still in the peloton, I would assume that Team Sky probably still would have rode at the front because it's kind of what they do. They like riding at the front, I think.
So yeah. I noticed that as well. We got a question coming through from Mixer. I thought y'all were playing a game. Well, I got a saying about Zwift and racing and gaming versus simulator. And what is this cycling thing and gaming? What is it? All races are games, but not all games are races. So all races are games, but not all games are races. But this is actually Zwift. Thank you, Carissa, for the chat there as well, letting everybody know what's going on. She says also, though, that poor Richie with the sad face there, but GVA was great today. So did kind of make up with it. I mean, gaining another 1.5 to 2 minutes, that's a solid day. At least that goal is completed for the team. The team's going to have some high spirits, at least about something there.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, he had, just an incredible ride, an absolutely incredible ride. And, I think, for the team after, the fact that they still don't have a sponsor, the team doesn't even know if it's going to continue next year, unfortunately. I think even without Richie, they're still fighting away.
I saw him mention, Stephen, I saw him mention from the commentators during I just happened to catch this. I was in and out, and during part of the broadcast, they said that one of the commentators, I swear, said they found a sponsor, but they're not sure what the bikes will be next year. That was said, that they were good to go on that they will be continuing on, but they won't be on BMC and bikes next year. That's what I heard that during the cast. So there must have been an update that's like very recent that I wasn't aware of until I was watching on my phone, passing out for a minute. But it was that's what it sounded like there. So Anson Brook is coming through. What's this comment about? I might cry for Bach. Important to stay sober today. What happened with Mollema today that I might have missed?
He lost a bit of time. I don't think he. I don't think it was Bach Mollema. What do I see here? Where was he? He finished. Yeah, he finished with actual Mikel Nieve. So he 30th. He lost a bit of time, I think, just coming into the finish. So he finished just about 45 seconds down behind Tom Dumoulin and Chris Froome and whatnot. So I'm sure he's not going to be happy about losing that. But it's not all lost for him, certainly. So. Got
a couple more comments there. We got confirmation around that. So CCC. Actually, I haven't seen CCC on a kit for maybe I'm confused. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but it's been a while. I feel like, the Dark Days is the last time. Not that that's related, but back last time I saw CCC as a major sponsor was when I was watching lots of U.S. Postal. So just it's been.
What is CCC? Sorry for the question.
That's a great question. I know the brand only from cycling, so that. But Carissa's both letting us know as well about that. BMC merged with CCC next year. We're also seeing here, as in Polish shoe company who previously sponsored Pro Conti team. Gotcha. Okay. But I thought that CCC used to do not just Pro Conti, but also used to do World Tour. Back in those, but maybe those are different companies that I'm talking about here, and I'm just getting everybody confused.
Yeah, I remember CCC Polsat, Polish team. They've been around for, they were around whenever I was racing in Europe, so they've been around a while and quite distinctive in their bright orange jerseys. So, but yeah, it's great if they can. There's a lot of jobs at stake there. Not only the riders. The 27 odd riders or 25 odd riders. There's 20 or 30 staff there as well, and so hopefully there's that's good news. So
it's a big production. Big production.
Big production. So almost as good news as everybody riding here who's on their way coming to the top of the
This finish doesn't look easy though. You just put them over the top of three. Yeah. Category 1 climbs at 70% of what was produced in the Tour de France. And now 75 RPM at 355 for me. This is another 105, 110% area, 105% of FTP for 2 minutes.
Yeah, for 2 minutes, yeah. And then we go down to 2 minutes at 90% after that. So so this is a real hard section here. So everybody just got to dig in. This is where you're making the your lead breakaway is being reduced down. So you've got to get into that, select 2 or 3 guys that are going over the top of this last climb before you fade it out in that small group sprint. So this is the real distinctive time, whether you can dig in, get to the finish in the lead group, or you're not going to make it. So.
And we saw a little bit of dig deep coming here from Cycling Idiot, like the comments there in the game. But we saw a little bit about Sugar Fix during the 4-minute break, not break, but the 4-minute recovery. I saw a little bit. Some people saying they were taking. I mean, this is a little bit longer workout. We're at an hour 15 total. This is a workout where I would definitely be taking a gel at about that 30 to 40 minute mark, knowing how much more I got to go here, or even having some sugar water, so whatever you like to put in your. So as far as fueling goes for this kind of a workout, this is a longer workout compared to most of the ones that we've done. You want to chat a little bit about that? What your take is on all that?
I mean, still an hour and a quarter at the majority of your fueling and your fueling strategy should be what you've eaten and drank before the start. Unless you are had a really bad, like I say, or a bad fueling strategy before it, you should start, you're full of glycogen. It should be pretty sufficient to get through a lot of the day. But if it was me riding, and even with a real good fuel strategy, I would probably, look at having some sugar in the bottles. Certainly trying to get as much of that NDA in that first third of the stage, because, as you can see here, it's ramping up towards the end, and to have that digested and to be able to, get your body to absorb it, you would probably want to be loaded up after that first climb. So really, on that climb, on the first climb, and over the top of that first climb that we did today, that's the time that you really need to have fueled up, especially if you thought that your strategy before the start of your ride today wasn't so good. Taking any fuel, taking any gels, in the last 10 minutes, you're probably not going to get.
No, that's not going to help at all. That's why I was saying like a pre-emptying of what is to come here. Really it's a supplement. You're really depending on the glycogen that's in your muscles, and you supplement that in the blood by taking something during, so that you're not using up everything as quickly that's in your reserves from the day. So that's what I was saying around the 30 to 40 minute mark about, that's usually on a ride like this when I would have been trying to look at fueling, because right now it's not going to matter. It's not going to do a whole lot for you. It'll help for recovery. It'll help you recover, actually, but it's a little too late. It's a little too late to get it in to have a better interval, but it'll help for your recovery. So
absolutely.
This is a great comment coming from, well, thank you for the correction, actually, Dan. CSC, and you're 100%. You're right. It was thinking of the red and black kit. CSC is who I was thinking of, not CCCC. Correct, 100% on the new sponsor there for the what is BMC right now. I was thinking it was CSC, not CCC, but no, it is officially confirmed there is a new sponsor next year for BMC that will be CCCC. Too many C's in there. Now I'm all over the place with the C's. Too many C's everywhere at this point. And I'm starting to go cross-eyed myself just watching the interview.
We're not even writing it.
4 minutes downhill, it looks like at this point. And then what is this at the end?
Yeah, so we're doing 4 minutes, really easy. We're starting to recover. I think everybody's going to need it before we do this last bit. So coming into the finish, again, it's going to be a small group coming into the finish. We really got to, just try and get the legs turning, to freshen up. And then we have a 2 minute ramp up, 95%, as we're coming into that sort of last 2 kilometers. And then we're going to do a hard sprint. I'm assuming that a lot of people don't have much of a sprint in the sense of what we have done the last week. If you see the sprints that we have done, obviously the bunch sprints where, really high wattage, really high percentage of FTPs going to 200% plus. Today we're going to 150, 170% plus for 20 seconds. And then we do another 20 seconds, basically as much as you can do. So probably going down to about 150% of your FTP. So just get ready for a wee kick again from a small group, and try and get that victory. So.
And the reason that we're doing that today, I mean, this is a flat finish. On the right-hand side of the course there, you can see it's a fairly flat finish, and so it's going to be downhill into a flat, and so it's a sprint finish, and you're in a break at this point, correct? And so the idea is to stay away in the break.
Yeah, and you've got to sprint it out amongst 2 or 3 other guys going for the win. So, and just on that, by the way, I don't know, we haven't talked about it, but the La Course was on today, the women's Tour de France. Unfortunately, they only get to ride one stage, and I watched that just before the men's went live. One of our coaches, a friend of mine called Jessica Allen, who rides for Mitchell and Scott, who's just finished the Giro Rossa, the women's Tour of Italy. She was part of the team today going into the La Course, and so I watched the finish. And anybody who hasn't seen it or doesn't know the results, please go and watch the highlights, because the finish of the women's race was just incredible. And I think all the commentators had the winner. I would say the guy that was probably engraving the name in the trophy had the name engraved, and they got it wrong. So I don't want to spoil it too much. But go and watch the last, 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers of the women's race, and if you want to see what it's like to sprint or to a long slog coming at the end of a mountain stage, go and watch that. So it was absolutely incredible. So
We'll have to check that out for sure. I absolutely love that.
Check it out. I don't want to spoil it.
You've just spoiled it. Cycling Idiot is saying that you've just spoiled it. So you've just said that the winner doesn't win. The person that everyone thought was going to win, it doesn't win. But you got to still go watch it.
Yes.
So all right, so we're seeing here. I know there are logistical reasons why this isn't done, but it would be cool if La Course was held on a rest day, or if they did a women's race on each rest day. That would be pretty cool, actually. Chris is saying that would be a nice for the rest days when everybody's not, because then there's only so much viewing time. There's only so much viewing time a person has in a day, right? Like for entertainment. So that's a good point. The Occult God saying, if I pedal fast, will I be ahead? Not actually in this mode of the game. The idea of this mode of the game is that you won't be ahead if you pedal fast. You'll be with everybody, and you pedal at a certain workout level. But if you pedal fast and it's got the right power in it, you will get ahead if you are in a race or a group ride, as long as you're pedaling faster than everybody else. But it's good to see you here. Would be cool if they did a guys race on the Giro Rosa rest day. Williams, get out of here. We're about everybody. We're gonna rage quit Williams here. No, just kidding, Williams. So, looking through here, a couple more.
Actually, so
we're about to have a sprint here for 570, 505. So this is coming into the end, and the riders are definitely probably on their last straw of energy, hanging on at this point, and they still got 2 more days to go.
Yeah, there's 2 more big climbs, mountain stages to go after this. So, we're getting prepared for the sprint. So,
real quick, I want to let everybody know at the end of the broadcast we will do our predictions. So I know there is a little bit of lag between because we're not using FTL on Mixer. There will be a little bit of lag. So get your predictions ready. We don't want you to miss out on that. Make sure to let us know who you think is going to be the winner of tomorrow's stage, as we're getting set up for the sprint here at the end of this stage. Tomorrow's stage looks really difficult. This is stage 11 of the Tour de France. 2 beyond categories, followed up by a second category and a first category uphill finish tomorrow. So who's it going to be? I think tomorrow's going to be a day for the GC contenders to start putting a stamp on this race. I would definitely be watching out for some of the favorites for the GC. Now we're starting up for the sprint, though. 570 watts was what it'd be for me. What is this? What's the percentage, though, of FTP? Because it doesn't matter for the watts.
This is about 170%. This first sprint, this first 20 second, 170. Basically, probably all you've got. After such a hard day, then we're going down to another 20 seconds at 150%. So yeah, we're just trying to hang on now, trying to finish off that last bit of energy. So scraping the barrel.
Yeah, so 505 for me, or 100 and 50% FTP to the end of this effort, and then a 5-minute cooldown. When you're done with that effort, make sure to get some water, get some sugar. Hopefully you brought along with you a recovery drink. A lot of times you want to get that in. How quickly after your workout? Within the
Maybe
first...
you need a bucket.
Maybe need a bucket as well. Double fail coming from Holly. Well, at least really it's about making sure you got the effort in there, and I have a feeling toward the back end of the it'll be interesting to see if riders get stronger, or they need to lower their FTP toward the back end of the workouts as we get further into the stages. Because we're about halfway at this point.
I think stage 10. So we're coming up to halfway. I think Ken has done nearly all of the stages. Maybe he'll let us know how many he's done, but I think he's done most of the stages. So I'm not surprised that his legs were falling off there at the end. I certainly would advise people that are trying to do these sort of rides consistently, or if you think that your maybe fitness isn't what it should be, is just don't be afraid to ramping down the percentage a bit, because what you don't want is to finish these rides and not being able to complete the last third of the ride. You're better to lower your percentage a wee bit in the first third of the ride, that you're finishing strong. Again, mentally, it's nicer that you're able to complete the workouts at the end than you are at the start. You want to finish the ride on a wee bit of a high level as well, or just wanting to be able to complete it at the end. So don't be afraid to knock it down a notch or two at the start.
We are getting a couple of comments coming here from Carissa saying, Reddit is full of fun predictions of different ways Greg Van Avermaet wins the whole thing. One of them being torrential nonstop rain in France causes all mountain passes to close. Nice one. And then Civilized Nat, that's how you just get immediate ban from the channel. Appreciate you being here. You can hang out and chat about things Tour de France as well as Zwift, but let's keep everything cordial in the chat, that's for sure. We're seeing Kev Stevens saying Richie Port's on his way over to Trek Segafredo for next year, and then a little bit of chat about the Giro, about the women's race today as well, it sounds like. So all right, so tomorrow here's what we got as we do the cooldown. Every time we have a cooldown, we at the end of the stage, we start going over predictions. Dan Fleeman has been on fire with these predictions. I mean, we missed some predictions because we had a rest day. We also had... How did we go on predictions for the Perry? What did we do? How did we go? None of us got it right, I don't think. I think we were all wrong.
No, I think we were all wrong. I think I went heavy on Sagan. Did I?
I did as well. And Degenkolb proved us all wrong. Degenkolb, he had something to prove on the day. That was obvious.
Yeah. Absolutely. He was on fire, and he led the sprint out at the end as well. Just proves how strong he was. And I, to be honest with you, it was absolutely fantastic to see him win it. So well deserved, absolutely. So
what are we thinking here for this stage? You got any predictions here for us, Steven? What do you think? I mean, I was saying that we're going to see some of the GC contenders come out and start to show something, or you think it's still going to be a hold back situation?
I think we're certainly going to see more of the GC riders playing tomorrow. Today was really the fact that it was a downhill finish, the fact that it was the start of a 3-day block in the Alps. Probably wanted to keep some people in a wee bit of reserves for the coming days. This climb that they're finishing on tomorrow was actually used in the Dauphiné this year. If anybody knows who won that stage, I'm not sure who won this stage. So, a lot of the riders have ridden this climb, a couple of weeks ago. I do think, from looking at it and designing our course, that the top of the climb isn't that steep. So it's not such a hard finish, even though it was Cat 1, but I think the last couple of kilometers aren't really, really steep. So, it might play into the hands of somebody like Tom Dumoulin or, somebody like that there that's maybe not a pure climber. I would, looking at somebody like Nibali, he looked really, really, he looked easy today. He didn't look like he was in trouble at all. And yeah, he looked really good. So, I think somebody like Nibali would be good. It would be great to see him going on the attack as well. So, and he's been a dark horse, and nobody's talked about him. I haven't seen anything from him. So, I'm gonna stick my head out and maybe go with Nibali for the win tomorrow.
All right, gotcha. I think that's a good prediction. Actually.
We'll just wait on Fleeman and see what he says.
I'm waiting for Fleeman too. Here. Chris is saying that Dan Martin looks antsy. Garrett Thomas did well. Pelo, how do you say his last name? Bilbao? Bale? One just looked it up. I think she's talking about the Dauphiné when it went over on the same one. Yeah, Dauphiné. So. Well, Chris, you're playing the classic Steven here, who wants 1 million picks. You get one pick, okay? Yeah. One pick on tomorrow, okay? And what is it going to be? I'm going to go. I've been trying to get Dumoulin. Maybe I'm going to throw it out there again. As well, I've been trying to get him across first. I put it out there. I think for him actually on. I said that it would be him on the Roubaix. So we'll see. Somebody on a bike. Thanks a lot, Williams. Nobody's answering the question. Come on now, guys. Let's get some predictions in here. 106 TSS. Yeah, I saw that as well. Anson's coming through here. Froome from all right, there. Somebody finally said it. Somebody finally said Froome. There we go. There's a Froome prediction on the table coming from Anson Brooks, letting us know that that's what he's going to be putting his stakes on here. Chris is saying Dan Martin. I think that's a good pick. He's looking good still. I'm surprised after the crashes how well he's looking actually. So I think Martin's looking pretty good. Everyone else will be too cautious or injured. I do like Nibali. Yep. So we got Steven on Nibali. We've got me. I'm on Dumoulin, and it looks like Dan Martin for Carissa. So anybody else, speak now or forever hold your peace. We're seeing Ken Holly saying that right on best 5, 10, 20, 30-minute power today. No wonder it hurt. Whoo! That is a workout. Dig Deep Coaching is making
it must be working. Yeah, it must be him giving it gas in the last week. His legs are starting to turn around, so well done.
It's interesting how that works. Isn't it interesting how you slowly can still build fitness during this kind of stuff? Your body is still rebuilding during the weeks of a grand tour. If you're eating, you're fueling well, you're recovering. It might not feel like it, but there is an objective reality that you are gaining fitness throughout this, and as long as your muscular structure can repair itself enough, you will be able to up those powers a little bit. Throughout the whole thing.
And it would be good to actually hear about other people who are, doing consecutively the days as well. Maybe not every day, but and how they're feeling as the over the 3 weeks progress. So great work.
Anson Brooks is saying I'd go for Bach, but he has disc brakes. Okay, disc versus non. Go. Here we go. And then we've got Ken Holly saying Yates. I like that prediction. I like the diversity here.
Yes, Yates. I forgot about Yates. Can I change, or can I go for? No, I'm only
You
joking.
can change. You can do whatever you want. But I think
Oh, no,
Nibali is a good prediction.
Nibali's good. Nibali's good.
I think it's a good prediction. All right, we got the predictions out there.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for the race predictions for tomorrow. We'll definitely take a look back at these. If you get them right, we'll tweet about it. We'll make sure we give a shout-out if you did get any of them right. For those of you who are just tuning in wondering what is going on here, we're going to run a couple of videos so you know what is happening with the Dig Deep Coaching. Make sure to sign up for all of the Dig Deep Coaching days, all 21 stages. We still got 10 stages to go? No, 11 stages to go for the Grand Tour here out on Zwift. Stephen, as always, thanks so much for your time, and we'll see you tomorrow for another climbing stage. I'm super excited.
See you then.
All right, cheers. And that is the Dig Deep Coaching stage number 10. I'm Nathan Garrett coming at you from Zwift Community Live. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that follow button over on Mixer.com. We are hanging out, chatting over there, or follow us on our Facebook. Those are the main two places that we are interacting. If you do want the VODs of this, though, you're looking for the videos on demand, get on over our YouTube as well. Follow over there. And you can catch all of the past broadcasts. Every broadcast that has ever been broadcast on ZCL is stored over on our YouTube as well. So thanks everybody for tuning in. And here's a little bit more about Dig Deep Coaching as well as what Zwift is. Got a couple of videos for you here. And we will see you tomorrow for the Dig Deep Coaching as stage number 11. As well as our weekly wind-up, where I believe we're going to have Sombrero on. One of Razor employees actually is going to come on and chat about his experiences with Zwift and gaming. All right, cheers everybody, and as always, ride on.
Not sure what you need to start Zwifting? Here's a simple checklist. First, you'll need a trainer. Either a classic trainer or a smart trainer. Smart trainers automatically control resistance, so when you hit a climb on Zwift, you'll feel the gradient kick in, just like on the road. Classic trainers do not automatically control resistance. Next, you'll need a device to run the Zwift app. An iPhone, iPad, Mac, PC, or Apple TV will get you in the game. Now start turning the pedals and connect your screen wirelessly with ANT+ or Bluetooth sensors. Classic trainers require a speed sensor mounted to the bike. Smart trainers come with built-in sensors. Time to start Zwifting. For the best Zwift experience, connect to a big screen TV for an immersive and fun Zwift ride. Finally, to get even more out of Zwift, download the Zwift Mobile Link app to your smartphone. It doubles up as a game controller once you get Zwifting. Head to Zwift.com/hardware for a more detailed rundown on what's required.